just doing a quick video before I leave for work because I'm letting the car warm up. And today's tech talk is going to be about carbon ceramic brakes. They're really cool. You see them on a lot of high-end stuff, and people put them on a lot of high-end sports cars. The question today is, do you need them on your car? My response is probably no, especially if you're driving something normal. Even my Mustang GT really doesn't need carbon ceramic brakes. It does have Brembo 14-inch rotors on this car, which are more than adequate for the type of driving I do, which is daily driving. If you have a car that's really fast and really heavy, such as like a Bentley Continental GT, carbon ceramic brakes start to make sense. But for most applications, carbon ceramic brakes are not going to do you any good. Carbon ceramic brakes are a mix of carbon, silicon, and usually a resin, and they're usually a two-piece rotor. You have a center hub, and then the brake rotor attaches to that hub. You don't see that much in steel brakes. You do every now and then, usually racing applications, but typically carbon ceramic brakes, that's the easiest way to tell them. They also look like they're dirty. It's because of the way the carbon is mixed. Couple of benefits of carbon ceramic brakes: awesome heat dissipation. They can take a ton of abuse without showing any signs of wear. For example, I believe that carbon ceramic brakes can handle up to 6 tons of braking, which is 12,000 pounds. Usually that is more than your average car can produce. You're talking Lamborghinis, high-end Ferraris, stuff like that. Number 3 is they don't throw as much dust as steel brakes do. If you own a car with Brembo brakes, just as an example, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's a typical thing, Brembos throw a lot of dust. They use a very soft compound, and it creates a situation where you're going to throw a lot of dust. They last a long time. The ones on this car have 103,000 miles on them. They're the original brakes on this car with 103,000 miles, and they're not unsafe in any way. They're fine. They just now got down to the indicators. So great brakes, but they throw a ton of dust. I actually plastic dipped the wheels on this car to hide the dust. Couple of cons to carbon ceramic brakes. Number 1, very, very expensive. To throw them on your car, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars. Number 2, you usually have to overhaul your entire system because they take a lot more pressure. They're usually much bigger calipers, so you're probably going to have to change your mounting hardware. If you're going from rear drums on an older car like an SN95 Mustang, a lot of those ones, the 94 to 98s, only had drums on the back unless you got a higher end car like a Cobra, or I think the GTS, you still had to option them in the first year. So there you go. Number 3, they suck when they're cold, and that's kind of part of why they're so good when they're hot, is because they dissipate a ton of heat. Brakes generate heat. When they're cold, they're not able to do anything because there's not enough heat in them. It's almost like race tires. You have to put heat in them to get them to work correctly. So as a street-driven application, carbon ceramic brakes probably aren't the wisest thing to do. I would almost put them on an SUV just because of the sheer weight of the vehicle before I put them on this car. Because an SUV having 7,000 pounds to lug around could probably benefit from a regular size ceramic rotor versus the same size steel rotor more than a Mustang GT, even though I do spiritedly drive this car, would benefit from a 14-inch ceramic rotor over the 14-inch steel rotor. Number 1 thing to consider is, how are you going to use your car? Are you going to be taking the car to a track every weekend? If you are, consider it. If you're not, don't. Just upgrade to a really nice rotor. Get one that's slotted. Don't get cross-drilled, because that's actually a way to increase the fragility of your brakes. When you drill into the surface, you're weakening it. Get good fluid. Number 2, that's a very big thing. A lot of people just replace their brakes and they don't care about their fluid. The fluid that's in your car is very important. You need something that can take high temperatures. Number 3, are you a baller? Because I haven't priced them out lately, but again, it's very expensive to switch to ceramic brakes. So anyways, that's my talk tip, drive talk, whatever you want to call it today. It's a little bit of information, but yeah. And I'm not even that cold. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's like something I'm doing because I'm nervous. So that's about it. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you have any comments, leave them down below. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd love to have you along with me. And since this is my right side, the button would be somewhere around there where it lists my number of subscribers. So hit that damn thing, would you? Just teach it a lesson. You know, you've been a bad subscribe button. And I'll talk to you later.